When you hear Chengeto Brown's name as a Zimbabwean, you immediately think of icons Andy Brown and Chiwoniso Maraide. Fast forward to 2021, and Chengeto is emerging as one of the country's musical geniuses, speaking on love, heartbreak, life, and so much more. I've watched her from afar, and for some reason, I felt a need to connect with this free spirit. A young woman who has faced some of life's challenging, toughest moments, but a woman who has risen from the ashes. Today on EN, I'm excited to meet Chengeto Brown. Chengeto, a warm welcome to EN.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. So we're going to dive right into this.
Right into it.
Right into it.
Okay.
So when I look at you, Chengeto, I look at the richness of both your parents. I see Andy Brown, I see Chiwoniso all in one. So has that been a blessing? Has that been a curse for you over the years growing up?
Yeah.
You know, the weight of just having
both those people.
Of being a product of Zimbabwean icons.
Do you know it's crazy? I tend to get asked that question a lot, but I didn't understand the gravity of it until recently in my life, is what I've noticed. I think growing up, I also didn't understand it because I was like, they're here. What you guys see them as, to me, is his mom and dad. You know, these are people that would read me bedtime stories, pick me up after school, take me for shopping, you know, that kind of thing. But as I got older, I then started to realize like their influence and the importance of who they were to the Zimbabwean culture and Zimbabwean music industry specifically. And, you know, unfortunately, they did pass at the time that they did. But then afterwards is when I realized it is a blessing because I got to experience things that a lot of people don't get to. You know, I got to grow up in a certain kind of environment. Like I got to grow up going to festivals, traveling, meeting all sorts of artists from across the globe. So that was really cool. It was a bit of a curse to say something because there's pressure that comes with that, you know, and me happening to be like the one that's left of both of them. I find that a lot of times I'd walk into spaces and I was expected to either act like my mom or act like my dad. Then one day I woke up and I was like, I'm neither of these people and that's okay. Yep. It's okay. Yeah. I'm Chengeto. I am the daughter of these two people and I'm so grateful for what they instilled in me and what I got to watch because, you know, I did choose to go down the same career path, and I'm very grateful for that. But at some point I was like, you know what? Who I am is exactly who I'm supposed to be and they'd be so proud of that.
And who is that? So who is that Chengeto?
Chengeto is a goof, number one. I'm such a goof. Oh my God. Most people think I'm this like reclusive person. I'm I'm conservative and stuff, but I'm very funny. I'm very down to earth. I'm very real. I like to think that of myself, is that I'm very real. And thank God I had parents like them because they always made it a point to tell me that what counts is who you are, not what you have, not what you look like. You can be the prettiest girl in the room, but if your inside is not as pretty, you're not doing much. You know, I'm also a giver. I'm a lover. I'm here to just exert nothing but positivity because I was taught that, you know, you need to treat people with a certain kind of love for your life to function a certain kind of way. So I like to think that that's what I've become.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your parents in a concert in Mutare. Yeah, I know Mutare is a small town. Shout out to all Mutarians.
That must have been some years ago, Mutare.
Now you're trying to tell my age, okay? So, it was a long time ago, and I remember seeing two extremely powerful performers and trying to understand in my head that these two powerful people are actually in a relationship. And how intriguing is that? Because their characters were so strong. Mm-hmm. Your mom was such a ferocious performer. I mean, when she was on stage, she was so 100% there.
Yeah.
So I think for me, is that the mom you saw? Because when I saw her, I said, oh my goodness, this woman is scary. She's like, no nonsense.
She understands what she's doing and why she's
there. She knows
what
she wants. Now, is that the mom that you grew up with?
It was a bit of both. I think the gaga version of her, she
Right.
left on stage.
Okay.
But the pureness she had on stage, you know, when you knew she was there, she was present, and she was within, is the same kind of mother that she was. Honestly, like, she never missed things that she couldn't miss, and it could be the littlest thing, like a prize giving day, and she'd be there. You know, like a fun day. She's Chonito Maraire. She shouldn't have to be at a fun day, you know,
But she was
at
there.
school, but she was there, you know. So I think the one thing I admired the most about her is that she was always able to separate Chioniso from my Chengeto. So my Chengeto is my Chengeto, Chioniso is Chioniso. And I'm also trying to now find that balance since I also have a son. But it was, yeah, she knew when to leave the more hardness, you know, the more harder parts within herself on stage. And she'd come back off stage, and then it would be mom again. So yeah,
That's awesome.
It wasn't exactly the same, but just a bit of things. She chose the right things to bring back from stage.
So I saw your performance when I was doing my research on you, when you were singing some of your mom's songs, and you twisted up the lyrics, and it was a tribute to her. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
you literally are carrying on the legacy. And I know those are heavy words, but it's true. I mean, it was such a moment for me, and I'm sure even performing it was a moment for you.
It was.
But it's not just about your mom. Your grandfather
Girl.
was a phenomenal. So coming from Mutare, the Maraires were something else. And it's about generations. And I remember reading on your granddad, going to the States, teaching on
He
all
did
of
some
that.
big things. Yeah,
Yes.
he did.
But you grew up in the States part of your life. How was it to balance American culture and then Zimbabwean culture?
It was weird. So the first time I ever went to the States, I was about 8 years old. We went to Virginia. My mom's younger sister was getting married. But I liked it a lot when we went there. So my mom's sister was like, she can stay with me for a few months. It's fine. And I was like, yeah. 6 months into it, I was like, I need to go back home. I'm 9 years old, actually, at that time, because my birthday is past. And I'm just like, okay, I need to go back home. So that was my first experience of trying to be like this and that. Because like when I was there, I was like, I'm not fitting in the way I want to because I'm coming from a very Zimbabwean background. I turned 14, and that's when I really experienced America as it was. And the hardest thing of it all was school, I'll be honest. That was the first hardest part, because, you know, I will say this, my country is very smart. The Zimbabweans are literacy the Pamberi, you know what I mean? So there was that odd adjustment with schooling, but the cultural part was a bit weird at first, because you're approaching a very liberated country in the sense of how they speak, how they move, how they operate, how they communicate to each other. And then you've got Zim, where we're a bit more conservative, and there's a lot more respect, to be honest, in how we communicate. So that was a bit of a change for me. But then I got to a point where I was like, why not merge both? It's actually possible for me to take what I feel like is missing in this American culture for me to feel like I'm myself, and take that from what I learned in Zim. Then when I came back here, I was like, guys, it's just a bit too, so let me just, you know, move in my liberation a bit more. So I eventually found the balance. At first, it was a very difficult thing to do. But then when I came to that place of understanding I'm actually a hybrid. I am Zimbabwean and I am American. And if I just found that balance, things would start flowing a bit better. And when I did, they really did also.
And it's okay to be both.
It's okay to be both. There's
Right?
nothing wrong with that. I can speak like this. Then on both sides. And I think it's an advantage, because I can go out in the world, speak their language, and come back home and speak the language that must be spoken. So I think I'm actually blessed in having that advantage of both sides. It's been
What brought you back home?
cool. A lot of loss. I think after my little sister Chedza passed away, that's when I hadn't been home in about 5 years. So when my dad passed, I actually didn't make it for his funeral. I hadn't even seen where he was buried, because there was a lot of confusion of me coming there and coming here and all that type of stuff. And my mom passes away the next year. Then we're like, no, we have to go to Zim. We come back, and then, you know, we got my little sister, went back to the States. And then when she passed, that's when I was like, I have to go home. If I'm going to heal the way that I need to heal, the way that I know I need to heal, I need to go see where my father was buried. I need to go visit my mother's grave, and I need to go bury my sister as well, you know? So it was a lot of that. And my mother always taught me, like, there's no place like home. And for me, healing involved being by my roots. If I'm going to blossom into this person I need to be, I have to go back to where it started. And if I don't, I'm running away from the healing, you know? So at some point I was just like, I was meant to be here for 6 months. It's been 5 years, and I don't regret any single day of it, because If I didn't, I think I would have been in a lot of denial in my healing process. You know, and coming back here was hard because everywhere I'm looking, there's reminders of them. The home that I came to live in was the home I grew up in with my mom and my little sister. You know, walking around, I look like my dad. I speak like my mom. I laugh like my mom. So, you know, you get a lot of those reminders, but it was very hard at first. But when I stopped being so angry, and then I was just like, okay, Chenge, heal. Pay attention to why you came in. Actually, man, my heart just it healed up nicely. Slowly, it took its time, but the person I am now and the healing that I've managed to get to would not have been possible if I didn't come back. And that was my whole notion of coming. I got on that plane praying like, God, when I get home, I just want to be me again. The person that's not angry, that's not sad, but that understands why all of this is happening, you know? And I like to find Zimbabwe to be a very spiritual space. And I needed the spiritual balance and healing as well, outside of just the physical realm and stuff like that. I'm very spiritual in that aspect. Yeah, so don't regret it. A really good decision. I don't think I'd be sitting here being able to smile and talk about some of these things if I never came home.
I think, you know, and in the briefing when I was talking to you, I don't understand what it was when I saw you that just said to me, you know what, I need to talk to this girl, because you sitting here today is evidence of God's grace.
Testimony in a
It's a
house. I'm a
testimony.
walking testimony. I always tell people that part.
Yeah. And I think you've got a story to share, but we're going to take a break and we're going to come back. Ladies and gentlemen, I am with Chengeto Brown, and this is EN. Don't change that dial. See you soon.
I need a hero.
Ooh, yeah.
I need a hero today.
That's right.
Talco, always connected. There for you more than any other. Saves the day, keeps me connected. It's my hero. Talco.
Business to your hoe. I've got it all selected. Faster than a bullet. Keeping you connected. Don't worry about a buffer. Life's fleeting like no other. All the time, anytime, anywhere. It's velocity.
Welcome back to EN, and I am with Chengeto Brown. Chengeto. So we were talking about loss.
Yes.
And we were talking about how you came back to Zim, and it was probably your first start of your journey in terms of healing. Now, you speak a lot about mental health.
Yes.
And one of the key things I saw in an interview as we were doing our research on you is that you were saying that, you know, mental health is really important for you because you feel that some of these issues are not really being put a spotlight on, and that maybe the loss of your sister could have been a result of that. Is that true? And maybe tell us about that.
No, definitely. I think, you know, even prior to Chedza passing away, thank God my mom was the kind of parent she was, because I was primarily raised by my mother. And, you know, she was always open about conversation. She was a soft mom, you know, it's like, let's talk about it. You're crying, you're having a tantrum. Why? Instead of me shouting at you, let's sit down. Maybe you need to sit in the room for a second while I take a walk, and then we can come back to it. That's who she was. You know, so when she passed, you know, all things happened, everything like that. And then, you know, with my little sister, when she passed, you know, it was suicide. And I felt like it took me back. I had to go back to the root of like, why did it get to that place, you know? And even myself, with losing so much, I felt myself going crazy, and even also going into that dark place and feeling like I couldn't speak to anyone about it, you know, and feeling like we were raised in a culture where there's taboo on this conversation. And for me, it's so important because I feel like the youth, you know, the generation prior to us was very much about don't talk about it, just fix it, or just be okay. Like mental health is not a disease. There's no such thing as a disease with mental health. It's just, you're just upset. Or, you know, if a child says, I'm feeling sad, they're like, well, how can you be sad when you have all of this and we provide all this and that? You know, you're being ungrateful. You know, I've really heard people be told this. And it pained my heart with my sister because I was like, you know, even myself, I didn't know that I should have been more adamant to speak with her and check in on her, you know. So for me, a few years later, I then sat down and I was like, okay, Chengeto Brown Mental Health Foundation is literally about talking, but specifically for the youth, I think that we have a very serious responsibility with them if it's not done right. Like even recently, I read a lot, right? So I'll read articles. The suicide rate in Zimbabwe is crazy.
Right.
It should not be that high. For the kind of community with love that we are, it should not be like that. But part of the problem is that there's no one willing to have these conversations because they're hard. Having those conversations about mental health also as a parent or as a caregiver or as a caretaker or as a teacher or as whatever is hard because you also have to look at yourself and be accountable that you haven't created a safe space for someone to feel mentally calm, you know? So for me, over the years, it's become a very, very, very important goal for me in my career and whatever I choose to do to make that a priority and speak about it because, you know, there's just such a taboo and I don't understand why. I really don't.
I think it
boggles my mind.
You know what? It comes from a point of we do not understand what depression is. We
part.
don't understand what anxiety is as parents.
Exactly.
And you may even see your child slipping into it, but you don't.
But you don't know
how to deal with it.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's such a big problem that I've seen is a reoccurring issue. So for me, my goal, one of the biggest goals of my life, when I go, is to have left that conversation started in this country. Because depression is real, guys. Anxiety is real. I've suffered from all the above. But I was lucky enough that I knew to read and go to therapy, you know, and stuff like that. Like you speak to some people in our community in Zim and you're like, guys, I'm going to a therapist. People will look at you like, my problems. And you're like, no, that's not what's happening. I need to vent and I need to vent in a safe space. And I think that it needs to become a tradition. We speak of tradition in this country. We speak of culture. That needs to be added into it because there's a lot going on right now, especially for our generation. We were born in a different time. We weren't born with as much, and I know it sounds crazy to say, but we were not born with as much opportunity to just build life. So there comes that pressure of external things, internal things, school things, all that stuff. And when you box all that up, and you can't have an outlet for it, you are bound to go into a depressive state.
So what are we telling parents? How can you guide us? Because I'm also one of those parents where what do I look out for? How do I address the issue? And you're right to say there's a lot of insecurity on our part because
you have to also face yourself now and say,
yes. And it's a sense of responsibility.
Exactly.
Because if you raise a child, you're a mom, and we're going to get into that because I just love your love for Zaya.
Thank you.
But if you see your child, you know, sinking in, how do you pull them out of that?
I think the first part, don't wait for that to happen. Conversation about mental state should be a regular thing. You know, it doesn't mean all the time, but hey, make it once a month or maybe twice a month. You sit down and you're just like, how are you, my child? What's going on? How's your heart? How's your spirit? Are there things that are bothering you outside of home? Because it doesn't always mean Kuti, this stuff is being brought in Mumbai. It could be at school. Like with my sister, one of the biggest things she was suffering from was bullying at school. But we didn't know that because we didn't sit to be like, because she'd come back and still be bubbly and everything like that. Because we also got that from my dad where you still need to, you know, put on the show and act like you're good when you're not. But I mean, I do think that creating a regular pattern of just checking in. I think the check-in is important, number one. Then number two, you will always know the telltale signs when your child starts to reclusively
withdraw,
come back to themselves. They don't talk to you that much. They don't eat the same, you know. They're not as lively around people. To even if you see your child not going outside to go take a walk, no matter what age they are, to just go feel the sun on them or breathe the air outside, you've got a problem.
There's a problem.
There's a problem. You need to pay attention to that. When you find them constantly trying to keep themselves busy and not have a moment to themselves, that's also a problem. Because now we're distracting. We're just looking for anything to keep us focused. That by the time we then realize, I'm not happy, you don't know how to tell mom and dad that you're not happy. Mom and dad also don't know that you're not happy because you're presenting yourself a certain way. And I think above all of that is creating a safe space for your child to feel like they can come to you and tell you that, you know? Don't knock them down when they say, my mom's sad. It could be that y'all have had a great day in your head. Like as a mom for me, I'm like, oh, we've had a great day. What is he talking about? But when that child says, I'm sad, listen to that.
Yeah.
Stop the world.
Right.
And be like, what is wrong? And if you find that it's too much for you to understand, there's nothing wrong with outsourcing that people to come in and also help and mediate and guide that conversation, because the most important thing is the health of your child. And sometimes we're not able to do that on our own. There's nothing wrong with saying, listen, I see that you're going through something. I may not have all the answers. Are you comfortable with therapy? You understand? I think it's very important to then, above all of that, the most important part is the safe space. Your child must trust you. At the end of the day, they're your child, but they're not obligated to feel safe with you. That's the part people need to know and understand, or to trust you either, because you're a provider.
And I think parents as well were challenged to listen, to not respond, but listen to understand.
Exactly.
And I think that's a moment for me that I've had to be conscious of. But I also am aware that Hollywood has done a lot in terms of trying to glamorize drugs, substance abuse.
That part.
If you think about the lyrics that are found in songs, if you think about movies and all of that, how do you as an artist look at that and kind of take a more responsible route towards that?
I think for me, because I'm a writer first before anything. Before I decided to sing, I was doing poetry and writing stories at the age of 8. That was like my first love. So I've always understood the responsibility of what that comes with, because words are powerful. You understand? You know when you talk about manifest, you speak enough words into the universe, it will happen. That will be your reality, or the reality around you, And so for me, when I look at stuff, people sing about drugs, about sex, about this, about that, I'm just like, you know what? If you're going to choose that journey, that's on you. But myself and I have always made it a point to speak about the things that matter. Heartbreak matters, love matters, loss matters, depression matters, happiness matters, beautiful love matters in what it is. And for me, because I want my words to speak for me even after I'm gone, I take it very seriously. I'm not just going to you'll never, if you look back at my stuff, you'll never find nonsense, for lack of a better term. It's real issues, and it is my responsibility as an artist to communicate things that matter, because the gift that I was given by God is to be a messenger. I'm not here to try and change the way people think. I'm here to message. So I go through what I go through. It hurts like hell, or whatever happens, right? God gives me that melody, or I dream of it, or I hear it when I'm walking, and I sing it to you in hopes that everybody hears it and they're like, but I've also gone through that. Oh, but that's also what happened to me.
So tell me about If I.
Honey.
Because I was listening to If I, and I was like,
you were within,
she has a story.
I had a story there. Oh my God, If I did when I was 19. Okay. Composed it myself, wrote it myself. I wrote it in a library, Seattle library in the States, when I was still an accountant trying to do the 9-to-5 stuff. And I was in a relationship, but it was a young relationship. The first love that you have, and you go through it, but I'm a very old soul, so I felt a lot more than I thought I would in the process. And, it was a situation of, if I could do it all over again, I would have never done this, because the wreckage that's come
has just
with
been
this
phenomenal.
love is too heavy.
Wow.
It's just a lot. But the only way I felt like I could communicate that was, again, music, because I'm a messenger. And it's so funny, because that's the song a lot of people love, because it came from such a real place. And that's the thing about my music, everything you hear, I've gone through. Every single song that you hear.
But that song for me resonated deeply. And I think maybe it could be because heartbreak is common to everyone.
It is.
But we're going to pick up on that. We're going to take a break. We are with Chengeto Brown. We'll be right back.
Awesome.
I dance for a living, not an orthodox career. My name is Sean Mambere. I'm an award-winning dance choreographer. Well, I've built a brand from dancing, and I earn money too. The internet has made my life easy and so much fun. Well, for starters, I get to interact with existing and potential clients who attend my dance classes. I have the opportunity to showcase my work to a large group of people at the same time. Who wouldn't want that for their business? Dancing is my life, and I need something that helps me grow and network with people in my field of work. I have won numerous awards from the work that I do, and I'm proud of myself. If it wasn't for the internet, I highly doubt anyone would know me. The broadband has helped me learn, grow, and enjoy what I do. I'm living in the moment. Are you?
Pan 5.
We're back with Chengeto Brown on EN. So, Chengeto, we were talking about, we were talking about a lot.
Yes.
But when I look at your songs, we're talking about your songs and some of the lyrics that you have created. So, first and foremost, I love the song that you did with Amara, your sister, except the snake. I mean, like, okay, so I was watching the video.
Put that snake on my body. Did you see that? I was like, not today. No, ma'am.
I was watching that and I said, why don't these guys put some warning of some sort that there's going to be a reptile on this thing?
Yeah.
Because, it was interesting.
That was an experience.
But for me, I think when we look at sisters and how you work together, I have two older sisters, and I'm being the youngest.
I get that noise.
It's something.
I'm there, girl.
It's something.
I got two older sisters too.
So how was it to work with Amara when
cool.
she is an older sister but you guys produce something beautiful? But tell me about the working experience that you had. Yeah.
It was cool. I won't lie. It was cool. There was definitely hiccups because we're both very I won't say hard-headed, but spearheaded. We know what we want to do and how we want to do it. So at some point, naturally, some of it clashed, but we knew the bigger picture is what mattered, And even how the song came about, she was just like, I'm going to the studio today. Do you want to come help me write? And I was like, yeah, of course, because I'm the writer of the family. So whenever people are doing the songs, I was like, Chingy, can you just make sure to balance? So I was like, okay, fine. And then we went, and then we got into the studio, and then she's like, why don't you actually just get on the song? And I was like, okay, why not? Let's see what happens. We start recording, fire song comes out, right? Then Lovers is like, guys, I don't go to record on the laptop 2 seconds. Now we're dancing, we're vibing. Next thing it's on Facebook. Next thing it goes viral. Then we're like, we have no choice but to actually do a video. That was its own experience because that was my first music video ever. I'm a bit camera shy, to be honest. I know. Listen,
did you say shy?
I did. I actually am. This person would not have been able to do this 5 years ago. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm actually grateful to her for that because she opened me up to really getting into myself, but it was cool. It was beautiful. The nation responded so well to the song. Yes. I think there was also a spiritual thing in that I think our dad was kind of looking down on us like, okay, my girls, this is what you should be doing. And it's going to work out. Moment. It was really cool. It was really cool. Yeah. The snake though,
that snake thing.
Guys, that thing was put on my shoulders and I ran. I dropped a snake and ran. I was like, I'm not doing it. It was actually smaller. Then we're at the shoot and this guy...
So are you really going to talk about the snake?
Okay, no, it's cool. He came and he just dumped the snake on the ground. But it was a good experience.
I have to talk to her about the snake.
Yeah, no, it was fun. What You Want was a lot of fun. Blessed to have gone through that one, for sure.
Amara has a son. You have a son.
Yes.
Tell me about Zion.
Zion is... he's the light of my life. That's really as much as I can summarize it, I think after everything that I've gone through in my life, he has made it make sense. He's made it make sense. I think for me, when I look at him in his little eyes, he's got these little beautiful green eyes and he just runs around, just noise, up and down, jumping on my couches, everything. But honestly, when I look at that boy, I'm just like, I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful because everything that has happened to my life has led to him.
Right.
I would do it, like I was saying, all again, ×3 if I had to just have him. And it's so cool having a little person in your life because they're looking up to you, they're your teacher, it's just beautiful. Honestly, I love motherhood. Is that weird to say?
It's not.
I actually love it.
No, it's not weird. But let me tell you my own experience about motherhood. When I had my first daughter, I was really shaken because the sense of responsibility, the weight of the responsibility. This
real.
little person looked at me and was like,
they're eating, drinking,
you
and
are
survival
my everything.
is upon you. Yes, ma'am.
That was a moment where I kind of said, okay, so I need to pull up my
socks
here.
I need to show up in life. I think he's definitely shown me to just be present. Like before I was just coasting in life, Yeah. Where you show up and you're coasting. You're doing what you have to do. So you're doing what you want to do when you want to do it. And when he came through, it was like, right, you need to show up the way you're supposed to because you know that there's someone who's literally going to follow your steps. And if you mess up along the way, you can't blame anybody else but yourself, But also learning to be just an honest person because I don't believe in lying to my child or pretending things are happening that are not happening, which has also made me more honest within myself as a woman. And it's been really, really cool. He's a blessing. That boy makes my life, man. You're gonna make me emotional. He will actually make me emotional.
Smile completely, 100%.
He's my baby. I love him so much.
Would you ever think of having another child?
Absolutely not. Mm-mm.
What? Why? With so much love?
No. All
it.
this love is for him. All of it is for him. Listen, you never know what happens.
Right.
You know, but I think as of now, I'm okay with just him. I'm okay with having him as my best friend for now. Because also, guys, more than one. It's a lot of balancing.
It's a balance.
Involved, you know. But maybe.
Are you in love?
Oh my God, so in love. Can you see my face? I'm so in love. It's actually, it's gross. But I have an amazing partner right now who is just so accepting of who I am, what I've gone through, where I'm trying to go, understands the kind of career that I have. Because as a musician, as a female musician, a lot of times your partner can get a bit iffy.
Yes.
You know, like if I have to show up and do a shoot with a guy, or if I have to, you know, be a little bit of this for something or whatever. Sometimes it can be an issue, but yeah, my partner is very understanding, so I'm blessed.
So does your partner share your vision for Chengeto in 5 years' time?
Yes.
And in 10 years' time? Because what is that
Yes.
vision?
My
Where do you want to be in
vision-
5 years' time?
I want to be happy. I want to be in a position of influence that also brings happiness to people. I think my goal is not just to do that through music. I think it's in how I move and how I breathe and how I live is really my whole goal. And just be a bigger artist, I guess, if you're going to put it that way, but just more recognized and respected. And I think more also being able to do more in 5 years for this specific industry that we're in, for the young woman that's trying to become an artist. You know, being able to tell my story. I want to have written my first book by then, you know, just like certain things, just growth. 5 years from now, I want to see growth. I don't see myself being at an end goal specifically, but I see myself enhancing who I am now and just being a better version of myself.
And you're building that already, because I know that from before you came here, you were already engaged in something else where you were talking about, you know, the future of artists and how that, you know, how you want to influence that.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important.
Tell me about the artists. Where's your passion? And is it women artists or is it just artists?
It's just artists in general, but I think my focus is more on women because we're in a very male-dominated industry in this country. It irks me sometimes because of the amount of talent I've seen come from young women, but they cannot have room to grow if they're not provided the room to do that and be able to feel safe at the same time, you know?
So are you an activist?
What am I being active about though?
So are we putting titles out there?
No,
I can feel you going, we're not putting titles or we're not labeling this, right?
Because listen, I'm all about feminism, here for it, but I'm a humanist. That's what I am. I believe in empowering the young, because I also have a son, you see. So I believe in empowering the young woman as much as you empower the young man. I think right now our community is so focused, which is beautiful because it had to shift to that conversation on creating a safe space for women, on making sure women speak out. But let's not forget the boy child also, because now he's been put in a corner where he feels like he can't talk, where he feels like he can't communicate, where he feels like he has to be such a man, or if his feelings are hurt, he has to let the other person experience and express first before he does. And I think my whole goal is creating an equality in the industry, in our creative spaces of, if I see a male film director, I will give him the same respect I would give a female director. If I see a male artist, I will give them the same respect I give a female artist. Or if I see a female artist, vice versa. You know, even production, even photography. I want to see more women in these spaces. But the crazy thing is that they're there. They're just not being given the room to shine. So I just want to create the equality, man. And just say, guys, we all need each other at the end of the day. That's why there's one and two. There's man and woman, woman and man, because there must be a balance. So I think for me, that's part of the goal, and it's growing. It's growing. I've been doing okay. I've seen so many amazing artists, male and female, these young upcoming, you know, kids and stuff. And it's I'm really excited to see where it goes. And hopefully I contribute to that process as much as I'd like to.
You are already contributing to the process.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I've also been challenged often to say, okay, you talk about women's rights, but you know, where's the boy child?
Because he's also important.
He needs a voice, and he needs that encouragement as well.
He does. And if he doesn't have it now, we're just going to repeat the same guys who weren't able to communicate 30 years ago, 30 years from now.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
Chengeto Brown on EN. I am humbled by you joining me this afternoon.
Aww.
And a special thank you to my daughter, Samantha,
Yes,
for
thank you,
making this
Sam.
happen. Because
Shout
it
out
would
to
not
Sam.
have happened without you.
That is true.
I
That
just
is
want to
true.
say that you are a rising star, Chengeto, and
Thank
you are
you.
going to do big things.
Ugh.
We are looking out for you. We are cheering from the back,
You're there.
We're there.
Thank
We're cheering you
you.
on.
I appreciate
And,
that so much.
You know,
Thank you.
live
Thank
on,
you.
live the legacy that you have.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
We shall.
Sitting here today with Chengeto reminds me that there is a God. Sometimes he puts us through the fire so that we can show his power. What I've learned is that regret is not an option. Survival is critical, and love conquers all. Chengeto, you are an amazing Zim woman who is roaring. Thank you for taking out time to be with us on EN.